we're starting to get really close to the NFL draft. It is right around the corner. And the biggest question that has been unsettled this entire time is who is going to draft Ty Simpson? So with a little over a week to go, Sean and I are going to take our shots based on teams with the best odds. Sean decided to put 2 teams down, even though I told him not to do that. Jets plus 210 is the team that I'm taking here, Sean. I've thought about the fact that the Cardinals lead with the odds you had them at plus 130 is where they sit. I was about to put them down, and then I talked myself completely out of it because I feel like whoever's leading the race to take Simpson at the current moment over a week out, that is going to rapidly change. I feel like that there has not been very much momentum in terms of reporting that the Cardinals are that interested in taking Ty Simpson. So it just, something feels a little off. It does make a lot of sense. They decided to do the total mail-in of getting rid of Murray, committing to Jacoby Brissett, and also having Gardner Minshew. It does feel like a setting. It feels like a really, really good setting for Ty Simpson to step into. And they're also a little bit more further removed from the cycle of constantly drafting quarterbacks like some of these other teams have done, like the Browns and the Jets. But I'm going with the Jets at plus 210 because I think that the approach of drafting Simpson would be an opportunity for them to go against what they've done previously. What I mean by this is if we look at their recent stretch of misses at quarterback, it's all been guys in the top 10. Mark Sanchez, Sam Darnold, Zach Wilson. They keep swinging and missing on guys that they drafted early. Geno Smith is the one exception for that. They brought in Geno as a stopgap. He's not the long-term solution, obviously. Picking him and trading back into the end of the first round, theoretically, and drafting him, I think would be a much safer approach. It's a little bit more Jackson Dartish, where you're not overcommitting early capital to a quarterback, and you can be patient to getting him onto the field. Geno Smith mirrors Russell Wilson in many ways of being completely ass and over the hill. The last part with this is I think out of any of the coaches that could possibly take a quarterback, there's one that has the most urgency. Aaron Glenn has to figure this shit out. All these other coaches are in their first year. They don't want to pin themselves to a guy that might not be the guy that they're in love with. I think Aaron Glenn has to make a move. Otherwise, he's cooking himself. Okay, so are you, for our conversation clarity purposes, I think that the lines are the lines because you're looking at the teams that are quarterback needy in the top 10. Yes. Are you assuming that the Jets pick him at 2 or 16? No. I don't think anyone's picking him in the top 10. I don't even think they pick him at 16. I would think that they would, with all the picks that they have, they'd probably pick at 2, they'd pick at 16, they'd see that he falls past the Steelers, and then they would trade back in. That is how I'm seeing this, and that's how I would presume that the Cardinals would handle it, and the Browns picking him at 24, but I would presume that the Cardinals would trade back into the 20s. So you think, okay, golly. All right. I mean, I'm fine with it. Like, I think that's way more appropriate than him getting selected at 2 or 3. No, it's not going to happen. There's zero chance. That is just, it feels very desperate to me for Ty Simpson, but I understand that NFL teams get desperate sometimes and make crazy ass decisions. I like the Cardinals just because Ty Simpson would be, I think, quickly the best quarterback on their roster, and that would help them. And it seems like Ty Simpson has a lot of the non-Kyler Murray stuff where Kyler Murray was a 1-1 overall pick certified and then came in, balled out, and then plateaued, whereas Ty Simpson feels like he's going to have to grind it out and then really maximize everything that he can. Different situation. I think the Cardinals will be looking for that, and it is just a personality at the quarterback change. I know quarterbacks are all like geared the same internally. You have to be. And the Jets have Geno, and I think the Jets are waiting to make a big swing. Yeah, but how different is Geno from Jacoby? Yeah, I know. Jacoby's better than Geno. I think that you could start a full season to Jacoby compared to Geno. I think that the Cardinals will win too many games with Jacoby, and that they understand that, and they need to at least get a guy this year, because next year, if they win 6 games, they will be out of like the top 4 quarterback picks. The one thing I will say is I do think it's plausible to consider that the amount of people that have attached Simpson to McVay and for him to end up in Los Angeles, we have to consider LaFleur coming from Los Angeles. The system is the same. If he is going to fit somewhere, it's going to fit in some iteration of that offense. That's why it's completely plausible. You had the Browns written down here, and I think that the interesting thing with the Browns, they they didn't really make any moves at quarterback. And nobody's really talked about this, that they haven't made any moves at quarterback. Unless they're like really, and we talked about this, they're really going into the season thinking we're going to just throw Deshaun Watson out there. And then the minute that we're tired of him, we'll give Shedeur one more chance. And then the minute that that doesn't work, we are all in on Arch or Dante Moore or Lenore Sellers or Brendan Sorsby or Josh Hoover or Darian Mensah or CJ Carr, or I'm trying to see how many quarterbacks I can name for 2026.
Trinidad?
Winidad? Yeah, Winidad, maybe. God, him as a Cleveland Brown would be awesome.
Wasn't ready for that. I had the Browns because they have 2 picks in the first round.
Oh, they have more out of focus camera. Sorry, I'm being distracted.
Oh, come on, man. I don't understand. Like, here's the thing. If I was going on ESPN, right, for a hit, I'm doing everything in my power. Everything. I'm checking everything.
Sorry, I'm distracted by they're showing a guy on location.
He's
in Los
so
Angeles.
close to it that they think he's a smudge on the camera, and the players warming up are in 4K.
In the background, we have ESPN on in the background, and it completely talk about ADD completely distracted me. How that dude was so out of focus. Sorry, get back to
the Browns have 2 picks in the first round. One at 6, where they can make as a guilt-free BPA pick, which I'm sure they'll draft another defensive All-Pro that'll waste 10 years there and just be a thankless warrior. And then at 24. And that feels like the pocket. That feels like about the area where Ty Simpson would get drafted. And they're kind of just sitting there. And I'm never going to claim to know what Cleveland's going to do, ever. I'm not going to do that. In the draft, they surprise me every single year with their stupidity or their brilliance. Sometimes they make really good picks, but you never know where they're going to go. So looking at them at 24, I wouldn't be surprised if they decide to add more drama to the quarterback room and take Simpson. I just wouldn't be. If it's like, hey, Shedeur and Dylan, you guys are also competing against Ty, and then you also have to not be beaten out by Deshaun Watson. Like it's really a reality TV show, quarterback room that I would need to see, but I wouldn't be surprised because are they really looking at themselves and saying we're good?
Oh, but that's the thing, though, is that
how do you do that if you're the Browns?
If you look at the room in general, it screams team that wants to take a quarterback this year. But at the same time, it's incredibly crowded. So why would we want to throw another dude? It's just not a tenable situation to expect him to be able to grow and flourish and survive. I'd keep any young quarterback away from that pervert. I want that dude out of the building and done and gone with before I'm building my roster around whoever. So sorry to Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah.
You have been the pervert. You've been put in the pervert zone, sadly, which might have been an indicator that they weren't ready to build around you.
That team, and I'm
talking about Deshaun Watson, by the way.
All that being
I'm not talking about Dylan Gabriel.
If I'm Ty Simpson, I'm not going to Cleveland. I'm saying no, don't draft me, please. I'm rejecting going to the Cleveland Browns. I would not accept it.
You said Trinidad Chambliss, and the more that I think about it, I couldn't think of if I'm a Browns fan, I couldn't think of a player that I'd be more compelled to be excited about. If I'm starting to look at the 2027 way too early mocks after your team doesn't pick a quarterback, and the Browns are the perfect candidate for a team to finish picking 5th overall, like they did this past year, where their defense wins them a couple of games they're not supposed to. Todd Monken pulls off some crazy shit where they run for 250 and whoever's playing quarterback throws for 6. There is 6 yards, not touchdowns, to be very clear. It feels like that they'll be out of the mix for Arch and the top dogs. I think that would be Trinidad Chambliss would be just the perfect player to ignite hope into them. That's what he did for Ole Miss this past year. Austin Simmons comes in and it's all, man, he's not as good as we thought he was. And then suddenly Ole Miss fans thought they were untouchable. I think that's what the Browns need. They need that swagger. Look at the way that they acted when they had Baker.
Yeah, look how they acted when they had Baker. They had him, and then they let him go, and then they turned on him, and they're still vengeful about Baker. How tall is Trinidad, by the way?
He's like 6 foot, 6'1". I just think that works.
I'm out, by the way.
On Trinidad,
short quarterbacks.
You hate good football players.
I love Trinidad.
I hate that you're the only asshole who gets to go, oh, these assholes are shorter than me, so I don't like them.
Correct, because he wouldn't be able to see over my big fat ass if I was blocking for him, and that's a problem. I don't want the ball getting spiked into the back of my helmet because that hurts.
Tell that to Drew Brees.
Drew Brees released that ball up here. He was releasing it as high up as he could, which I appreciated. You specialists and quarterbacks love pelting the big boys in the back fat with the ball.
Winnedad is going to fix Cleveland. I think that he will.